This is an Industry Today webcast produced by Industrial Info Resources of Sugar Land, Texas, bringing you the latest trends in the industrial market, providing the scoop on companies that are leading the way with innovation, new technology, and services that keep industry growing and moving forward.
This is Steve Table, your host for this edition of Industry Today, produced and presented by Industrial Info Resources Media Group, Sugar Land, Texas, providing industrial supply-side market intelligence to really help companies grow their businesses. A treat today, the guest in the spotlight is VSI, Valve Source Incorporated, and why it's a treat is because they've been a guest on a previous podcast where they talked about the overview, the value suite of what VSI can really provide to the industrial marketplace. Whereas today, our special guest, President Robert Feldmanm of VSI, is here to talk about something very specific. Hi there, Robert. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me back, Steve.
I can't wait to hear what are we going to be talking about today. What product are we introducing?
Well, today we have a unique high-temperature seated ball valve from BONETTI Valve, Italy. The HTB ball valve is able to provide positive shutoff at high temperatures, which provides a solution for many services in various plants.
What makes this valve different than other high-temperature ball valves?
Well, the HTB employs a patented seat design that gives it a temperature range of up to 1,022 degrees F.
Well, you know, that's not unique, so really, what is the difference?
The seat is made from compressed graphite interspersed with layers of stainless steel to provide rigidity. The graphite provides for high temperature limits, positive shutoff, or as we like to say, Class 6 shutoff, and low torques. The seat was developed as an offshoot from BONETTI's successful line of piston valves that utilize the same type of seat seal design.
A lot of valve companies really do make high-temperature valves, but why is the BONETTI HTB so different?
Steve, that is a true statement. Industry has many choices when it comes to controlling extremely high-temperature media. The difference is that they typically use a metal-to-metal seat that cannot provide the positive shutoff that the HTB does provide. By using this seat design, we have accomplished controlling flow at high temperatures and achieving leakage rates that rival soft-seated ball valves. Another attribute is that this valve is low torque due to the self-cleaning graphite metal seats.
And Robert, why is that important?
Well, think of it this way. These valves are installed in very hot areas of the plant and are typically operated with an actuator. With a standard metal-to-metal seated ball valve, the design itself creates tremendous torques to achieve their seating characteristics. This, in turn, requires the user to install very large actuators.
More price, too.
Absolutely. But with our HTB ball valve, the graphite seats provide for a lower torque rating, which means using a smaller actuator.
Lower cost.
Exactly. So not only do we meet high temperature limits, we also provide low torque, which in turn translates into a major savings
right
for the user. And obviously in the current economic environment, who wouldn't want to have a product that provides for a cost savings without sacrificing performance?
Industry today really does require products to be sensitive to the environment. Does BONETTI provide any type of emission control?
Actually, the HTB ball valve meets or exceeds the most rigid leakage rates in the industry. BONETTI manufactures the valve to meet a 30 parts per million leakage rate. The same technology used in the seat is used for the packing rings and provides the valve with an excellent emission control. In fact, BONETTI manufactures these valves to meet the stringent German TA Luft approval.
So, Robert, what does that mean here in the U.S.A.?
Well, the valve meets the EPA fugitive emission standards set forth years ago by the government.
Okay, now what other features can you think of that the audience really does need to know about the HTB?
Very important, the HTB is inherently fire safe based on its design. The valve is resistant to wear and tear in the appropriate surfaces, and in fact, we consider the HTB to be maintenance-free for up to 50,000 cycles.
So if I'm a maintenance manager, that's music to my ears.
Absolutely. Not only don't you have to mess with the valve, you don't have to pay for it over and over again. And in some cases, the valve can be good up to 250,000 cycles.
Any other features that come to mind?
The forged construction of the body ensures that we can provide you a valve that is free of defects, which are normally associated with castings. This is also very important when the body is subjected to constant higher temperatures.
In other words, Bonetti takes the heat.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Can you tell us something about the material range and the size range you have available?
At VSI, we inventory the HTB in A105 carbon steel and F316 stainless steel. Bonetti, however, can produce the valve for projects and special orders in a variety of materials based on the client's need. For instance, power plants may need a higher chrome alloy valve, while refineries may need a higher grade of stainless steel for corrosive resistance. But at VSI, our inventory ranges from 1/2 inch through 4 inch in threaded, socket weld, and flanged ends in pressure classes 150, 300, 600, and 800 class.
What applications do you see this valve being used in?
The applications are many. The main use at this point, however, is steam, whether it's clean or dirty. Right off the bat, where's steam but the power industry, and they would benefit the most from this valve. This valve is a low-cost alternative to the higher-end metal-seated ball valves that are currently used in low-pressure steam lines, reheat lines, steam sampling lines, and other areas of the plant where a normal 800 class valve is used.
And what about cavitation?
Cavitation is always a factor when you're dealing with steam, and in these lines, this will not be a problem for the HTB ball valve.
What about geothermal?
Geothermal is used, and in fact, Bonetti has contracts with geothermal steam plants throughout Europe to deal with their non-condensable precipitants. All kinds of dirty fluids, hot oils, hydrocarbons. This valve can be used in a variety of applications which allow for the use of graphite in the media. Obviously, the graphite is the limiting factor in choosing this valve.
Robert, I understand that at the recent Power Gen show, this valve was on display.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, the valve received a very warm welcome by engineers and users who see the benefit of this valve in their systems. So every day, new applications are being discovered for the versatility of the HTB design.
Besides power, what industries are you targeting with this valve line?
Well, another industry, as we mentioned, would be geothermal plants to handle the steam transport at lower pressures. Pulp and paper mills came to mind for tough liquor service. Refineries, petrochemical and chemical plants to deal with their hot fluids, hot water, hot oil situations. Those are all great applications and great industries for us to target.
So when it comes to HTB, the name to remember is Bonetti HTB.
Absolutely. Bonetti HTB and VSI Valve Source Incorporated.
Absolutely. And that's just one in our series of podcasts profiling the many value suites that VSI brings to the table. As your podcast series continues, Robert, what's next?
Well, Steve, in our next podcast, we will highlight Fluoroseal valves, which provides a line of Teflon sleeved and lined plug valves.
Robert, thanks very much. Our special guest, Robert Feldmanm, president of VSI Valve Source Incorporated. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, IIR.
Absolutely. And that concludes this edition of Industry Today, focusing on VSI Valve Source Incorporated and Bonetti Valves. This is your host, Steve Table, for Industry Today, produced and presented by Industrial Info Resources Media Group, Sugar Land, Texas, and on the web at www.industrialinfo.com.